Hey guys and girls, it's your girl Green Fire Motivation, aka Judy Owens. I have a question for you guys as always. The question is, do you have more good habits or do you have more bad habits? The question again is, do you have more good habits or do you have more bad habits? Once again, this is your girl, Green Fire Motivation, aka Judy Owens. Welcome to the Green Fire Motivation channel. If you are with me today, then you realize that I have finished my 30-day video challenge. And the question was from the previous video, what's next? So what's next is I am taking suggestions and thoughts for video topics going forward. In the meantime, I'll be pushing forward with my own topics, stemmed by my personal life experiences. So if you like the videos, by all means share them, subscribe, hit the thumbs up hit the thumbs up button. By all means comment on any part of the video that you like, or any part of the video that has helped you or that will help you in the future. Also, the purpose of this channel, the Green Fire Motivation channel, is for you to take action and take control of your life. So it is my full intention to give you some information as well as give you some actions to take so that you can in fact take action and take control of your life. So back to the question, do you have more good habits or more bad habits? Okay, so I have three thoughts, or three pieces of food for thought on good habits versus bad habits. So think about this for a second. Have you ever been in a scenario where you were in a group of people, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people were around you, and then one person started singing a song, and no one else was actively listening to the song per se. They were just humming it, the tune, or saying the words in a low mumble, low voice or whatnot. And then maybe about an hour later, you found yourself singing that same song. If you can relate to that scenario, just go ahead and type in the comments, I can relate. I know I can. So when I watch this video again, I'll be typing that in the comments. But in that scenario, you subconsciously heard the song, but your mind still picked up on it. Okay? And so the reason why I brought that to your attention is because the first thought that I would like to leave with you is, who you hang around does matter. Who you hang around does matter. And the reason why it matters is because as you hang around different people, you pick up some of their good habits and you pick up some of their bad habits, which, it's a give-take situation. For example, my bestie, Belle, hey Belle, my Belle Christine, one of the things that I picked up from her, from hanging around her for so long, is the term cool beans. So when we first met, she used to say it all the time, right? And now I say it all the time. Why? Because we hung around each other so much, and it's a habit that I picked up, but it's also a habit that I liked, right? Okay. So most of you guys know me. Well, mostly everyone up here knows me, but if you know my personality, you know I don't curse, right? So obviously, I don't want to put myself in a scenario where, I'm listening to a lot of music where it's cursing involved, or, being in conversations with people who curse a lot, because I don't curse a lot. I don't choose to curse because I just think it's not the best way to express myself. Now, to anyone else who does it, that's on you. But to me personally, I just don't feel it's the best way to express myself in a polite manner. So I wouldn't want to, constantly be in, communication with or around people who curse a lot, because what will happen is, a habit that I broke so many years ago would now come back into play, right? So that's the reason why I say who you hang around matters. Okay. And I mean, I can even go so far as to say dieting, because I can always, most people can relate to a dieting scenario. So say for example, you decided that you want to lose weight, and you're going to eat chicken and broccoli. You're going to eat chicken and broccoli, or you're going to stay away from all the sugary foods, all the processed foods, and all that good stuff. And then you find yourself, agreeing to go out to eat with some friends, and you guys are sitting in Applebee's or sitting in Golden Corral, where it's like food temptation everywhere. And it's like, oh man, I want to eat healthy, but all this food is looking at me. So you know what? Let me just, I'll eat better tomorrow, right? Anybody been in that situation? If you've been in that situation, I want you to type at the bottom, food glorious food. So once again, like I said, you don't want to put yourself in a scenario where you're around all that food knowing that that's not the type of food that you want to be eating, because if you're anything like me, you be right in there with the best of them, grabbing the fried chicken and the pork chops and all that good stuff. It tastes good for you, but it's not necessarily healthy for you. But anyways, but you guys get the point, right? So that's why I say, what matters, it matters who you hang around, because if you're around, people who are not dieting, they're not likely to, encourage you to diet per se, and to be honest, it's not that they're encouraging or discouraging you. They're just eating the way that they want to eat, but knowing that you're trying to eat differently, it may cause an issue with you trying to, go out with them to eat, right? So that's why I say who you hang out with matters, whether it's, singing a song, whether it's cursing, whether it's dieting. You just have to be, really cautious about who you hang around when you've committed yourself to certain things. Okay, so on a side note, this video actually stemmed from a conversation that I had tonight with Miss Alana Moore. Hey Alana, how you doing? Okay, so tonight, or last night, I actually went to a spoken word event, or an open mic, that's hosted by First Amendment in Goldsboro, North Carolina. That's hosted by S.W. Wade. And he basically, what it is every third Saturday, we all get together, we do spoken word. I call it a spoken word event because I do spoken word, but it's actually an open mic where we have poets, we have authors, we have writers, we have singers, we have musicians, and everyone comes out, and they share their talent, and they get on the mic, and it's just an amazing atmosphere to be in. It's very encouraging, it's uplifting. It gives people a voice, okay? And so I appreciate Mr. Sid Wade for, opening his doors. I appreciate Miss Tanisha Mandry. Hey, girl. Because she decorates for the events with Soiree Classy, I believe it is. And then Alana, she's a speaker. Like, when I say she's a speaker, I mean, she really went in and really, shed some light on a couple of things tonight, and I appreciate her for it. Her spoken word pieces are just, so connected to reality that they connect to anybody who listens to them. I ran into Malcolm J. the poet. He's a poet and he's an author. He's got like 32 books, so he's doing his thing. I ran into what's his name? Mr. The Jiffy Show. The Jiffy Show, he's a comedian. And, he got up there and expressed some real life stories that had us rolling, And then I also met Ian Giberson. He got on the mic. He did his comedy and everything like that. So by all means, we all, got a chance to sit around and talk, after the event was over. And when I say, like, there was some wisdom and knowledge that was imparted into me, and so that actually influenced the first thought to this video, is that who you hang around matters. And another reason why I say that is because when you hang around people who are intelligent, or who are knowledgeable in a different area than you, that's when you're able to grow, because they know something that you don't know, so now they can teach you, and vice versa. You know something that they don't know, and you can teach them, so it's a give situation to where everybody is learning and everybody is growing. And I am all about growth. Green Fire Motivation is all about growth. Green means go. That means go and grow. Okay. So that's the first thought. It matters who you hang around. Okay. The second thought is learn to recognize when a bad habit is forming. Learn to recognize when a habit is forming. Okay. And if someone can just go ahead and type down at the bottom, learn to recognize when a habit is forming. Because if you don't remember the other two thoughts, remember this one. Recognize when a habit is forming, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. Recognize if it's a good habit that you need to reinforce it. If it's a bad habit, you need to try to break that bad habit as soon as possible. Do not let it grow. Do not let it take root. Do not give it any kind of edification or anything. If it's a bad habit, you want to go ahead and break it now, okay? Now, say for example, because I can always use myself as an example because most of these videos relate to me, right? Okay, so for example, a bad habit that I had at one point formed was drinking coffee. Now, granted, coffee is probably the most drank liquid or beverage in the world. Very, very, that's very possible. However, for me, it tasted really good, but for all the wrong reasons. Okay, so the reason why I say that for me, not you, for me, drinking coffee is a bad habit is because I don't like the natural taste of coffee without sugar and without the creamer. Was it creamery? Did I say it right? If I didn't say it right, go ahead and laugh now. But the creamer. Okay. So I don't like the natural taste of coffee without the sugar or the creamer. Okay. And the reason why I say that it's a bad habit for me is because when I do drink coffee, I put so much sugar and creamer in there that it practically tastes like hot chocolate. So you know that that's an extensive amount of sugar and an extensive amount of creamer, which means that it's a bad habit because it's very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. I mean, saturated with sugar and creamer. Right. So that's the reason why I say it's a bad habit. So I recognize that as much as I like the taste of it, what I was doing was forming a bad habit because we know that too much sugar is not good for the body. And if I have 6 and 7 tablespoons of sugar in one coffee, obviously drinking that on a constant basis is going to eventually cause health issues. I mean, no questions asked. That's a no-brainer. I don't have to go to the doctor for them to tell me that 7 tablespoons of sugar in 1 cup of coffee is too much, right? And, I put so much creamer, the coffee is practically white by the time I drink it. So, obviously, that's too much creamer, right? Okay. So, I recognize that it was a bad habit in that scenario. I do drink coffee, but very sparingly. And when I say sparingly, I mean I probably haven't had a cup of coffee in about 6 or 7 months now. So I learned that it was a bad habit for me, and I said, okay, it's a bad habit. I recognized that it was a bad habit, so I had to cut it out. Okay, I had to cut it out. And like I said, I haven't drank coffee in like 6 or 7 months. So if I have 1 cup of coffee tomorrow, I'm not gonna kill myself and be like, oh my gosh, you weren't supposed to. It's bad for you, bad for you, bad for you. And I'm not gonna do that. Why? Because obviously I'm not, doing the 7 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, so recognize when a bad habit is forming and kill it at the root. In the same scenario, recognize when a good habit is forming. Now, say for example, one of the things that people like to do or people are advised to do by their dentist is to floss their teeth. Why? Because the brush that you brush with may not always get in between your teeth like you need it to. And so there'll be food left in between your teeth. And anybody knows if you leave food in between your teeth for too long, eventually it will cause cavities, right? Now, most of the time people get cavities at the top of their tooth or the surface of the tooth because they eat candy and all this other good stuff. But if you get a cavity at the side of your tooth, like in between, it's because food has been stuck on that specific area and has gone bad. Now, me personally, I know that because I had to have one half of one of my teeth at the bottom reconstructed because there was food stuck in there and it formed a cavity. So they had to like literally like level off the tooth after they got the cavity part out and then do that resurfacing and all that good stuff with whatever that white filling stuff is, and they packed it in and did all this stuff, had me bite down and all that, right? Okay, so what happened was I ended up forming a good habit. Why? Because now I make sure that I floss. Now, I'm not going to tell you I floss every day because I don't, but I do try to floss at least 3 or 4 times a week. Granted, sometimes I'll brush my teeth, more than once. I'll do my mouthwash first, and then I'll brush with the toothpaste, and then I'll go behind it with the floss at least 3 times a week. And it may not be 100%, but it's a lot better than just brushing one time and then walking away, right? Okay, so recognize when you're forming a good habit and reinforce it. Recognize when you're forming a bad habit and cut it at the root, okay? Now, the last thought number 3, okay, is to replace your bad habits with good ones, okay? Replace your bad habits with good ones. So my thought is this: if you're replacing your bad habits with good ones, I'll give you 2 of my bad habits and how I replace them, okay? So the first bad habit that I have is Mountain Dew. Anybody that knows me knows that I guzzle Mountain Dew like water. No, it's not a good thing. Yes, it's an addiction, but I recognize it, right? I recognize that it's a bad habit. So what is my alternative? I will replace the Mountain Dew with cucumber water. Now, anybody who doesn't know what cucumber water is, all it is taking some cucumbers, cutting them up, putting them in some water, put some ice over the top of the water and the cucumbers, sticking in the refrigerator overnight. That's it. Now, I have no idea why cucumber water is the cure for Mountain Dew for me. I have no idea why. I don't know how, why, when, who, what, where. I don't know. But it works. When I have my my cucumber water and I drink that on a consistent basis, I do not have a taste for Mountain Dew. I just don't, right? So obviously I took that bad habit, replaced it with a good habit, but the key, hear me guys, the key, somebody type down at the bottom, the key is to always have a cucumber on hand. Always have a cucumber on hand, because when I don't have the cucumber, I'll run to the nearest Speedway and get that 44 ounce of Mountain Dew every time. Yeah, I said 44 ounces. That's what I said. The 44 ounce of Mountain Dew is 85 cents at Speedway. So when I don't have my cucumber, I go and I get a Mountain Dew. That's the reason why it's important to always have the cucumber. Okay? All right, so the other bad habit that I have is potato chips. I love some kettle chips, let me tell you. However, I realized, and Miss Alana Moore, she reminded me that the serving size for chips is 16 chips. Now, guys, look. I have these things called crunch attacks. Now, I don't know if that's the proper way to define them, but I have these scenarios where I have crunch attacks. A crunch attack for me is where I need to have something to crunch on, and it's got to be crunchy. I mean, crunchy. Okay, I got to hear it click, clack, clank, and crunch. Okay, so when I have these scenarios, I'll run to Walmart and get that bag of kettle chips. That's $1.67. Now, y'all see, it's a consistent basis that I do this, which is the reason why I say it's a bad habit. And the reason why it's a bad habit is because I don't eat 16 chips. I eat the whole bag. Somebody say bad habit. Okay, so what I'm learning to do is to replace the chips with nuts, as in cashew nuts, peanuts, or even almonds, okay? So I'm taking the bad habit, I'm replacing it with a new habit, a good habit, which is something that's crunchy and something that's healthy. Now, obviously, if I overdo it with the nuts, it'll still be, not a good thing, but I do a lot better with it, with the nuts, because they're more filling. Okay, now I'm not a health expert or anything like this. This is just information that I learned from somebody else's YouTube. Okay, so the 3 thoughts that I wanted to leave with you, and at this time, if you're still with me, guys, just comment which one of the 3 thoughts you feel will help you the most. Okay, so the first thought was, it's important who you hang around. The second thought was, learn to recognize when you're forming a habit. Learn to recognize when a habit is being formed. And the third one is to replace your bad habits with good habits. Okay? So, those are the 3 thoughts that I wanted to leave with you. But before you go, do not click off the video. Before you go, this is what I want you guys to do. Okay? You guys know how I am with paper. Like, I'll tell you to grab a sheet of paper quick and do something. So, this is your application, you know? They say, faith without works is dead. Okay, so this, you done faithed it. You got through the first 3 thoughts. Now we're going to apply. Application, okay? So, I want you to get a sheet of paper, because y'all know I do the sheets of paper. Hopefully, by now, you probably have about 4 or 5 sheets of paper for 4 or 5 different worksheets. Hopefully you have them all in the same place. If not, find a folder, find a binder, just whatever you do, get them all in the same spot. Okay, so this paper, you're going to fold in half. I'm going to run through this really quick, and I'm going to let you guys go. Okay, so this is going to be your Green Fire Motivation Bad Habits Breaker Worksheet. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half. Okay, you're going to call it the Bad Habit Breaker Worksheet. Okay, so that's what it's going to say. Bad Habit Breaker Worksheet. Okay. Alright, so we got your title. So you fold it in half, put your title at the top, and then you're going to make a list. Okay, you're going to make a list. On one side, you're going to put the bad habits. Okay. And then on the other side, you're going to put the good habit replacements. That's what you're going to do, okay? Okay, and then you're going to number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now, granted, you know, you may have more habits than, you know, more bad habits than 5. I suggest you start with 5 because it's not an overwhelming number, I don't think. Now, if it's overwhelming, 5 is overwhelming, to go down to 3. But minimum 1. Minimum 1, guys. I mean, if you're trying to change this scenario from a bad habit to a good habit, you got to have at least 1 on the paper, okay? So this is what your paper would look like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you got Bad Habit Breaker Worksheet. So you have the bad habits on this side. Then you have the good habit replacements on this side. And then you've got them numbered. So 1 at the top, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have the bad habit over here. And then you have the good habit replacement. So for me, it would be, I would say, number 1, if I put Mountain Dew, right? For number 1 as the bad habit. Okay. And then my replacement is cucumber water. Okay. Alright, so my replacement is cucumber water. Mountain Dew to cucumber water. Okay. And so what I would suggest you do is, if you do in fact have 5, put the one that you are struggling with the most, the worst habit, at the top, and then work your way down. Now, granted, I wouldn't suggest you try to change all 5 habits at once, because we know that sometimes when you try to do too many things at once, you know, you get overwhelmed and you just stop. So I would suggest you start with 1 habit, the one that's at the top, and once you kind of, I would say maybe give yourself maybe a week to work on 1 habit, and then go the next week you incorporate the second habit. And the next week, I would say give yourself 7 days to get used to each habit, okay? Now, granted, you know, this is not a set in stone kind of thing. It's more of a template to give you an idea of how to get those, take those bad habits and replace them with good habits. So this is your girl, Green Fire Motivation. If you're still with me, thank you so much for staying to the end. Go ahead and get your bad habit worksheet going now. Like, if you're at the end of this video, go ahead and get your sheet of paper and go ahead and start working on it, and start taking that that green fire and turning it hot. Green fire motivation. Green means go. That means go now. That means do this worksheet right now. Say right now. Somebody type in the bottom of the comments right now. Right now. Right now. Okay, guys. It's your girl, Green Fire Motivation. Let me know how the worksheet turns out. Give me some feedback, guys. Hopefully, if you want, you can send it to me. The email address is greenfiremotivation. greenfiremotivation2020@gmail.com. All right, guys. Bye.